Bitcoin has yet again failed to close a daily candle above the bull market uptrend and 200 SMA. Where is Bitcoin likely to go next? Are the bulls going to be able to reclaim control, or should we expect lower prices? These are questions we're answering in the video today. Let's dive in. Okay, MegaWhale team, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you're all having a fantastic day today. In today's video, we are focusing on the short-term and the macro charts, going over what has happened over the past 24 hours and what you need to be watching out for moving forward. Will Bitcoin see a continuation higher, or are the bears going to continue to hammer Bitcoin downward? These are questions we're answering in the video today. Before we do get into it, smash that like button, hit that comment button, and subscribe to the channel. We post daily videos of Bitcoin focusing on the facts, the data, the technical, and the structural information. No hype, no BS, no emotion, pure raw TA. If that is the kind of content you are interested in, join us on Telegram. It is the first link down below. You'll get access to charts, updates, videos, educational posts, news events, and everything you need to stay in the loop of cryptocurrency with Bitcoin and the relevant economic news. If you are interested in taking your trading to the next level, join us on VIP. We have a VIP channel where we post trading setups with exact entry prices, exact targets, exact stop losses, trade justification, and exclusive analysis. You'll also get access to a variety of group chats, our general chat, trading chart and education chat, news, help, daily video, and trade setup chat. If you're interested in finding out more information of the VIP, you can click our membership information detail link here to find a video all about it, our trading track record link, or contact me for more information via the pinned comment in the free channel. Go ahead and check it out, and let's go ahead and dive in. So taking a look at Bitcoin's price action, you can see we have 4 minutes until that daily candle close, and yesterday we saw some fantastic short-term price action with Bitcoin pushing over that short-term bullish trigger, however, not able to sustain above that trigger point at 58.35k. We can see here, guys, Bitcoin is now rejected on the short term, once again failing to close above that 200 SMA and that bull market uptrend. We're looking at around a week now of price action consolidating underneath this level. We're going to be discussing this and so much more in today's video. Moving over to the market data to start off with, 24-hour volume is down 5%, sitting at a total of 105 billion. 24-hour liquidations are at 107 million. This is up 23% over the past 24 hours. And with that, we can see 60 million have been liquidated in longs and 47 have been liquidated in short positions. Moving over to the DXY, the DXY is still tampering around that 104 to 105 range. Again, we are expecting continuations lower here for the DXY into that 104 to 103.9k region. Again, we do have to wait and see how the economic data does develop moving into this coming month. With the DXY being underneath this overall macro downtrend, we are still expecting the broader markets to continue higher. We are looking specifically at the S&P 500, showing a considerable amount of strength, still pushing to $5,680 up, a massive amount for the week from those lows at 5,600. We are still looking for 5,800. We are also still looking for 6,000 on the macro. Overall, if we do look at the structural formations here developing, we have got our local lows, our absolute lows, our lower lows, or should I say our higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, and with that, we have also got those higher highs. We're continuously stacking new higher highs and new higher lows, developing this overall uptrend. With that, if we do see a break of that prior higher high point at 5,350, that would be the first sign of macro weakness this entire trend. That would be an indication that this structural pattern we have been developing over this period of time has been broken, or at least attempted to reverse. So until then, until we break below this area of support at 5,300, we are expecting the S&P 500 to continue upwards to that $6,000 mark. Looking at the upcoming economic data really quickly, on the 11th of July, which is today, in about 12 hours, a little bit over 12 hours, we have got our CPI data. Again, our core inflation and inflation month on month, year on year. A very important event to watch out for. Again, anytime we get any result for inflation that is going to be above our previous and forecast, we're going to see a bearish reaction in the market. If we do see it come out at previous or at forecast or under, it depends how much under we come out at. It will determine how bullish that will be perceived as the market. So right now the expectation is 0.2. We can see the consensus is 0.2 and the previous is 0.2. So looking at a result underneath that will be bullish for inflation data. Moving over onto the 12th, we do have PPI data. And then if we go all the way down on the 16th, we've got retail sales, which again is another leading indicator of inflation. And then all the way on the 26th, we have got personal income and spending. And again, that is a leading inflation data. So let's go ahead, guys, and wrap that up and jump into Bitcoin. A quick summary of what we'll be discussing. We're going to be going over Bitcoin dominance. We're going over the total market caps. We're going over the macro charts in reference to a few different indicators I want to discuss, and then jumping into the short-term price action and that daily candle close. So let's go ahead and jump into it. A quick word from today's video sponsor, BitUnix, BingX, and BitGet before we do. I'd like to introduce our partner, BitUnix. BitUnix is a global, non-KYC, no country restriction exchange, making it a perfect exchange to trade on if you're from the USA, from Canada, the Netherlands, or just prefer to trade without KYC. This exchange is a futures and spot exchange with over 200 different trading pairs, and some of the lowest fees in the game. If you sign up with my link down below, you'll get access to 15% off your trading fees, as well as an exclusive reward center where you can claim up to a multitude in USDT prizes. So go ahead and sign up with my link down below for 15% off, and I'll see you in there. Okay, MegaWhale team, let's go ahead and get stuck into Bitcoin. And as you can see, we have just had that daily candle close less than 60 seconds ago. The closing price was, of course, underneath our critical level of uptrending resistance, that bull market uptrend, and the 200 SMA. So overall, we had a fantastic day yesterday with Bitcoin pushing upwards, but we were unable to really sustain above that short-term resistance, and therefore this level is still going to be acting as a short-term resistance. So overall, the daily candle close was not amazing. Again, the longer the price action sustains below the 200 SMA, the greater the probability we see a continuation lower as opposed to that continuation higher. If we do take a look at this chart overall, we will need to say that if we break back above the 200 SMA, we will definitely be expecting continuations higher, but while we sit under the 200 SMA, the possibility to see continuations lower is still on the table, okay? We are not out of the woods. The bulls are showing some resilience at this 53k level, but however, we have not seen enough resilience. We've not seen the bulls really take back control of the price action to be confident in continuations higher. So let's go ahead and discuss the short term and those trigger levels. We've gone ahead and done some annotations on the chart to make it nice and easy to visualize these key trigger points that you should be paying attention to. So let's go ahead and just remove all of our indicators momentarily and go ahead and discuss what is happening. So what we can see over here is Bitcoin is underneath that trigger point. This trigger point is sitting at a price point on the right hand side at $58,350. The $58,350 resistance is going to be our sell side liquidity that we initially retested as a result of breaking below the $63.8 to $63,000 support. Again, we broke below this level. We saw a strong correction toward the downside. From that region was going to be our weekly low. This is going to be our weekly low over here. We then saw a rally back upwards to retest that area of resistance now, and then we saw a rejection from it, resulting in a continuation to fill the VRPV gap to 53k. Since then, we have established this area as a new level of resistance, a level of resistance we have been challenging now for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, and being unable to sustain above this level on the daily candle. Now, this level is still going to be a bullish trigger. By that, if we are able to sustain above this price point, we will likely see two things. We will likely see a retest of this high time frame bullish zone at 63.1 to 63.8, as well as the breakout of the monthly downtrend. Now, this is about a 4 to 5 week period, which has been established since the initial rejection of the range high on the 10th of June 2024. We can see we've had one rejection over here, And we had a second rejection that lines up with that horizontal level. So we have an established downtrend that we'll need to break out of to see that continuation higher. Again, we will likely break out of both these levels around about the same time if we do so. Until then, while we remain underneath this trigger point at 58.3, we could still see this gap on the VRPV fill up again, meaning we could still see one more correction into our major area of support at that $53,000 region before we eventually see that reversal develop. So the overall narrative is right now is Bitcoin is still in a downtrend on the daily. Bitcoin is underneath its key trigger points. However, we are seeing some indication of potential reversals across the board for the total market cap and the total altcoin market cap. This leads us to believe, particularly with Bitcoin dominance dropping, that we could see Bitcoin attempt a reversal at some point between these regions. However, to have any degree of confidence that reversal will actually play out, we need to start breaking above some of these prior lows to actually establish a new uptrend. We need to establish a new uptrend. Right now, the structural pattern of the price action has not changed this entire time. We have just seen bounces from these low points. For Bitcoin to turn properly short-term bullish again, we would need to see a break out of this level. So let's take a look at our annotations. You can see we have drawn in over here, or we've typed in a break above 58.3 would result in a 64K target. Meaning we break above the sell side liquidity, we break above the downtrend, we would expect the price to continue up into the 63 to 64K region. If we zoom out as a consequence of that, Bitcoin will be at around this price range, well above that 200 SMA and well above that bull market uptrend. So as a consequence of the short-term breakout, we would see both of these critical levels on the weekly chart reclaimed. Moving back to the short term, if we are able to sustain above this 63.8K region, we would then expect a 80K plus target, meaning we are expecting a breakout of that 72K range high, of course, taking us into that $80,000 region. Again, if we take a look at the price action around that region, when we break through that resistance, we see strong directional moves upwards. When we break below that resistance, we see strong directional moves downwards. So we would expect to see a strong directional move upward if we were to break back above that resistance. And that takes us to our last scenario, which is the bearish case scenario. If Bitcoin is unable to sustain its major area of support at 53 to 50,000, we are going to see a macro continuation to 44K. If we take a look at our next area of support, we can see right over here on our VRPV, the next peak in our VRPV is around that 44K region, which we can see is a critical area of high time frame volume and thus high time frame support. If we go over to our macro charts momentarily, we can also see that currently we are retesting the baseline of the Ichimoku cloud, and we can see the baseline is represented by this red line that is sitting at around that $56,000, $55,000 region. We also have our support here on the RSI. Again, the support was from the low over here. This is the low of that initiation of that bull market uptrend. We have the bull market uptrend going through over here. Okay, that is going to be that initial low. We have yet broken below this region on the RSI. If we break below that region on the RSI and we break below that baseline, that is going to be a strong indication that we could potentially see a macro continuation downwards into that next level of support. This is something you absolutely need to be paying attention to. So it really is a battle between the bulls and the bears, and that battle zone we are focusing on is going to be the distance between our bullish trigger, okay, and that bearish trigger. This entire region between 58 to 53,000 is going to be a region of macro directional decision making. And as we've said already, we know the consequence of the break upwards of the range high now of this decision zone and the breakdown of the range low of this decision zone. We know if the price is able to break above this region, we continue higher, and break below this region, we continue lower. And while we're within this region, we are in a region of consolidation, a likely region of downward consolidation as we are in a downtrend until we start to see those bullish trigger points really execute and validate on the short term. So overall, guys, Bitcoin isn't looking fantastic. We'd be lying if we told you it was. It does have a chance to reverse, and it will immediately look significantly better if it starts to break through these prior lows. It starts to clear some of these resistances. It's going to validate these trigger points, continue higher, reclaim that SMA, reclaim that bull market uptrend, and immediately the chart is going to look tenfold, 10 times healthier as soon as that occurs. But while that has not occurred, there is going to be that downside risk, but we have to remember support is support until it's not. So even if we do see that downward consolidation, we could see reversals develop from this region. Let's go ahead now and jump over to the macro chart momentarily before we jump into Bitcoin dominance and the total market cap. What we can see over here is we have a blend of different indicators. These are all going to show the significance of that $53,000 region. First and foremost, we have got our 50 EMA, which is going to be, let's go ahead and get rid of this one, this red line, as well as our super trend range low, which coincides with each other. These kind of come up and they kind of pinch each other over here. This is sitting at that $52,000 region. So if we go to the short term, the $52,000 region is that exact mountain point in the VRPV, that exact peak point. In fact, it's the exact midline point between the range high and range low of that prior horizontal consolidation, a very critical area. Again, that also lines up with this downtrending support level we have here on the short term, meaning if we break below the 52K region, we will very likely break below the downtrending support, and we will very likely see a continuation into that $50,000 region, a critical area of support, because again, if we lose this level, we will likely be losing that RSI level. We'll likely be seeing that continuation lower. So until then, while we remain above these levels, from a technical perspective, Bitcoin is still bullish on the macro scale, and Bitcoin still has a chance to continue aggressively upward, okay? We have not seen all of those bearish validations triggered. We are still above our 50 EMA, which is a great indicator to assess actual short-term direction and overall strength and volatility of the trend, as well as the RSI, which is a reflection of momentum in the trend of which we are visibly viewing. So let's go ahead, guys, and jump over to the Bitcoin dominance chart. What we can see over here is Bitcoin dominance is still tampering around that consolidation zone between the uptrending trend line and that horizontal range high. The horizontal range high is going to be the low point of our prior bear market, okay? We saw that breakdown, we entered a parabolic phase for altcoins, okay? That resistance has been retested now. We can see if Bitcoin dominance is able to break below this uptrend. And I'll be really watching out for a break below that 50 EMA to validate it. That would result in a strong correction for Bitcoin dominance. And if we see the total market cap increase as Bitcoin dominance falls, we will still see an altcoin season. Okay, something to watch out for. The total market cap is on the left, and the total 3 market cap, which is altcoins, is on the right. We can see a very similar pattern here for the total market cap and for the altcoin market cap. We can see a descending channel formation. Again, we've got our 4 points of validation. We've got our retest of the range low, and we're now bouncing from those range low points. Similarly, on both charts, we have got our midline levels, the dotted trend lines. We will need to break above these respective dotted trend lines to see rallies to those range highs. If we see a retest of that dotted trend line and breakout, we would expect to see rallies to the range high. As a consequence, we will likely break out, as that would be our 5th point of retest of the channel on both instances. In regards to the total 3, we can see the RSI downtrend is almost being retested, representative of a potential positive momentum shift coming for altcoins, and thus a continuation higher. So overall, the total market caps are actually looking pretty decent. They're looking a lot better than Bitcoin is, and they could lead the way for the next move of Bitcoin if we start to see these increase in value. So thank you for watching. Have a fantastic day. We'll get into the rest tomorrow, and we'll see you then.